The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Hi, thanks for tuning in to Let's Talk Beauty. I'm Sharon, your host, owner of Green Envy Salon and Spa. We'll be having our grand opening celebration at our new location Saturday, May 6th from 1 to 4. We will be featuring Chad LaMarche, very great entertainer, singer in the New Hampshire area and Massachusetts as well. So we will be raffling off prizes, and it'll be a lot of fun and snacks and giveaways and stuff like that. So hopefully you can make it Saturday, May 6th from 1 to 4. So today's guest is Brett
Ashenfelter.
Ashenfelter. I had that rehearsed before we came on this morning.
It's long one.
It's afternoon now. It's been a day. So thank you for coming back on the show.
My pleasure. Always happy to be here.
So spring is in the air. The warmer weather's here.
It is getting to get outside a little bit. Yeah. So that's nice. Having a lot of people who are getting back into running and things, and then finding problems when they do that.
Well, as a matter of fact, the Boston Marathon yesterday.
Exactly. Yep. There you go. So
I know a couple. I haven't seen them yet, talked to them, but that ran in it yesterday. And just watching it, I was like 26 point some odd miles. I forget the exact.
2. Yep.
0.2?
0.2.
That's a long way.
It's a long way.
I can't imagine.
No, and I trained for marathons a few times, but every time I'd hit about 18 miles in my training, I couldn't,
Really?
My knees just, bursitis would act up, and so I'd have to, so I've done a couple of half marathons.
Okay.
But
what are the half marathons?
So 13.1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 13.1 miles. And so I love those, and they're great, but yeah, 26.
I don't even know if I could do that. It's like running, I think you have to have a passion for it.
Yeah.
You really have to like to run.
So what's the most that you run? I know that you were talking about training for the triathlons. And
really, the longest run that I train in the morning, there would be, I would say 20, 25 minutes. So that's kind of like intervals of like, fast, and then you're jogging, and then you kind of like walk. So it's an interval thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
And to me, I looked down, I'm like, wow, I've been running all this time. Maybe walking for 30 seconds in between or whatever.
Yeah.
But to me, that's a huge accomplishment.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So like for people that train and do these marathons, I can't imagine.
It takes a certain type of, I wouldn't say a certain body type specifically, but you can't have certain injuries, or you can't have a predisposition to certain injuries. And then, like my husband, he can outrun me any day of the week in sprints. Yeah. But when it comes to endurance running, he's just not built for it.
Right.
So, and I love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, so I can imagine that would cause maybe some havoc on your body.
Yeah, and it's sort of a mixed bag. There was this one study that they did where they took people who were endurance runners and marathon runners for years and years and years, and they looked at their knees when they were in their 60s, and it looked like they should have horrible pain, horrible osteoarthritis, and yet the people who were runners like that actually didn't report a lot of pain.
Really?
And the reason was because there are theories about why it is, and they're not sure what it is, but part of the theory is that they have so much muscular support of their knees that they just aren't symptomatic, whereas if you have somebody that's not very active and then they go for a long walk, or have extra weight on their knees, those things can be more detrimental.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see like having like a lot of extra weight, stuff like that, but you're looking at training, right, for these marathons, which they probably train all year long. I mean, if you're a runner, you're a runner. Yep. You're always running, right?
Yeah.
And then you run the 26 miles, but the impact, right? The joints and that's a lot on your body.
It is a lot. It's and there's been the debate for years about, is running a good workout for people, or are you causing more injuries? And from what I've seen of the research, really what it comes down to is if you're consistent about it and you're taking care of your body in other ways, a lot of people can do it and they don't have the impacts that you would think that they should have. But depends a lot on the individual, and it depends a lot on their gait too. So some people come in and they have a really heavy heel strike. You know, when they run, they're pounding that heel.
Yeah.
And that can cause a lot more problems with like the knees because you're absorbing that impact. Whereas other people, they'll run more on their toes. I kind of run on my toes.
Yeah.
And for your knees, it's better. But then you might have issues in your feet or your ankles.
Right.
So
It probably
depends.
genetics too, you know, it's probably a lot, you know, with genetics, but in watching the runners, like some of the people that have prosthetics, like, you know, and I never really paid attention. I mean, it's awful to say, but if you're not a marathoner, you're not going to really pay attention to tune it. It's not really what you do, but I tried tuning in a little bit yesterday, and there were different, I never realized there were different categories.
Yeah.
You know, so you get it's not the wheelchair, but the, they have no legs, so they're using their arms, right? So they only do so many miles, correct?
Right, I believe so.
Yeah, I think there was like
so,
4 different things.
different categories.
You know, so there was women's, there was men's, and there was like a couple other categories which I wasn't understanding what they were.
Right, and I actually would have to look to see what those were, but I do know that the athletic wheelchairs that you're talking about.
Right.
And then also for people who have prosthetics.
I mean, that's kudos to them.
It's amazing, and I would love to see more people having access to some of those prosthetics because you have to, if you have a limb that's missing, you have to have a prosthetic for every activity that you want to partake in.
Yep.
And that gets expensive. And a lot of time insurance doesn't cover the different types of prosthetics.
Right.
Like if you want to play tennis, you have to get a prosthetic that has a racket, things like that. And so
What to mean to bounce like a certain to bounce around and stuff like that?
like if you wanted to play tennis, then you actually would, if you were missing an arm, you'd get a prosthetic.
Here I'm like only thinking about the legs, but no, that's not
true. Exactly. But yeah, so whatever you want to partake in, whatever sports you're partaking in, and that's why they have certain prosthetics for running, but that isn't necessarily what that individual would wear all the time.
Correct.
So yeah, it gets interesting, but if it's not functionally necessary, a lot of times insurance doesn't cover it.
Right.
So,
I know. Good old insurance, right?
Yeah, you always.
Gets technical.
That's right.
So what do you guys, you're doing the physical therapy over at the Main Street Wellness Chiropractor. Do you guys, are you all facilitated on their same name? I don't remember.
No, so we're Oak Physical Therapy is the physical therapy, and then Main Street Chiropractic and Wellness.
Okay.
And that's Dr. Sullivan's. But we're all under the same roof, and it works really well with just sharing patients and being able to discuss how we're approaching their care all together and getting on the same page with that. So.
Good. So I'm glad that it's all going well.
Oh, it's fantastic. We love it.
So have you guys been doing any networking? Have you been to any, you know, I know that Dr. Sullivan's involved in the Rotary and, you know, different things as business owners, as we have careers, it's hard to kind of like get out and to do other functions.
Yeah, well, so since I have my daughter, and she's 14 months now, and so I'm involved with the moms group at the Milford Birth Cottage.
Okay.
And then as well with the La Leche League that's in the area, so that's for breastfeeding. But I really love the La Leche League because they say whether you've breastfed for years or just for a day, you're still a breastfeeding mother. And so we're actually hosting on the 4th Thursdays of the month. We host the La Leche League has an enrichment meeting.
Okay.
So for people with older children to come and discuss, but babies are also welcome.
Yeah.
And let's see, we did last time it was on cultural differences in mothering as well as generational differences. So what you did different from your parents. And so we're doing some of those things.
That would be an interesting, we need to talk about that for a minute.
Absolutely.
Generational differences.
Right.
Wow. Wow.
And so so I led that meeting. Usually we have.
I would love that.
It was fascinating.
Yeah.
And some of the things like, even when I was a kid, my parents spanked me maybe once or twice.
Yeah.
But it used to be commonplace to do that, and now you don't find many American moms who do spank or use corporal punishment. So that's one of the more major ones, but also just things like the baby wearing that takes place all the time now. my mom, I had to explain to her what it was, where, you know, you have the babies in the packs and everything, and you take them everywhere. And there's a lot of research supporting that it actually helps with the respiration rate and the stress that an infant has. And if you're breastfeeding, it's so much easier. And and you have a new granddaughter?
I have a new granddaughter, So my daughter she's nursed Briella, and she's nursing Kenna, and everything is working out fabulous. She's growing like a weed. She absolutely loves it. But yeah, but my daughter never really got into any of that. She's always carrying her around.
Right.
Like, I don't know why she's not wearing, it'd be a little easier. Because I watched her yesterday, as a matter of fact, while my daughter went to the gym, and here I am holding the whole time, because, I put her to sleep, and they get heavy, you know what I mean, after a while.
They do.
It's like, oh, you're just carrying her around all the time. So I actually wore a wrap when I had my kids, and we're talking back 20-something years ago.
And you were the minority, I'm sure, right?
And also I remember seeing when my kids were younger, I don't see them anymore. Maybe because I don't pay attention, but you actually had the attachment like a leash.
Yeah.
Right? And I used to be so offended when I would see a parent attach their child to some sort of thing, right? But until the day came that we went to the fair, and my eldest daughter, we were just standing, I have 3 kids, so, we got the stroller, the oldest one's out of the stroller, and we're waiting to go on a little kiddie ride at the fair.
Yeah.
It takes 2 seconds. Where'd she go? Like, she's, right? So we're like, all right, let's not panic. We're just gonna stand right here. We're gonna look. She went on the ride. She was like, oh, the ride, like, it's time, like, I'm next in line to, like, go on the ride. Talk about heart attack, right?
I can imagine.
So after that day, I literally went and purchased one of those things, because I'm like, it made sense to me now. I was like, and before I was like, how could you walk around with a kid like that? But it's like, it takes 2 seconds.
My mom was always the same way. She'd always say, oh, that's terrible when I see that in the store and everything. And then talking to my husband, he's the eldest of 8.
Oh, wow.
And so I was talking to my husband about that, and he was like, oh, yeah, my parents used that with me all the time, and it was a good thing they did, because
you take
would
off.
Just wander off otherwise.
Yeah, because I've gone to stores where I see parents not paying attention to their child, and they're just off or whatever, and it just makes me crazy.
Yeah.
Well,
and I think that, there's so many things that parents in general feel guilty about. And, at the end of the day, it's about making sure your kid's fed, clothed, and that you can control your own stress and peace of mind.
Yeah, and they're safe, and they're, nothing happens to them,
Exactly.
But the generational thing can go on. There's so much wide range to talk about that, because I think about all the time, like, all right, well, my kids didn't really grow up with a cell phone. Yeah, they got cell phones when they were, like, older.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like, oh, now you can give them a tablet. These kids, like my granddaughter knows how to work a cell phone, an iPad, all these electronics.
Yeah.
Where it wasn't like that when my kids were younger.
Yeah.
And now it's turned around. So what's going to happen in the communication?
It's so much different. And I've thought about that too. I was reading the other day that something like 70% of 12-year-olds have iPhones.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just thinking about, first of all, I don't think my family had a cell phone at all until I was probably about 12. And then it was my dad's work phone.
Yeah.
And that was for his work.
Yeah.
And it's difficult trying to decide, raising my own daughter. Okay, I want her to be technologically savvy.
Yeah.
Obviously. But at the same time, when is too early for her to have her own devices and to be encouraging that?
And the problem with that is, like, I'll have, like, my employees that have, children that obviously are a lot younger, but say they're 10 years old. Well, my friends have cell phones.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, but you don't need a cell phone right now. And
Right.
I could see if it was for safety issues, or there are certain circumstances in today's world, co-parenting and, different situations. Yes, but it's too easy to just give in to the kids, I think, today.
Yeah, exactly. And there's so many things like that where you don't want, you want them to bond with their families and bond with their parents, or talk to their friends in person. And
instead of this, well, it's like that all the time.
Well, and then the cell phone related injuries that we see as physical therapists.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
crazy.
you're gonna have like this, and
Yep.
then these kids, it's like I don't even know how to text like that, right? I'm like,
Exactly, and then you'll have thumb issues
Yeah.
and tendonitis from that, and it's insane the kinds of things that you see. So it's difficult.
you probably haven't seen any of that quite yet.
A little bit of that.
Really?
A little bit of that. Yeah. Just because, yeah, if people are on their phones all the time and necks. That's
Yeah.
the big thing. With
Yeah.
the necks, and even just with computers though,
Right.
where you're sitting in front and everything's forward. So
Yeah, I try to have like things like level, right? So I'm not like this, or I mean, I'm trying to like get the counters and the chair adjusted so I'm kind of like right there, because yeah, you look down all the time, and
right.
I can see the neck for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And with your job too, ergonomics are so important. You know, you've got to make sure that, and people come in and they ask, well, you know, should I put my computer higher up then or lower down? And I tell people it's the rule of 90s, where you want to make sure that your hips, your knees, your elbows are all at 90 degrees, and then your wrists are neutral.
Yeah.
And then if you have a separate monitor, you want to have your gaze slightly angled up, but only very slightly. And
I know a couple of my clients that actually have those desks that if they want to stand up,
yeah.
it actually goes up and down, so they don't have to sit down all day long if they want to stand up for a while.
And those are fantastic.
I think that was a great invention.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And it's a lot nicer too, the adjustable ones, because I've seen some people who then have standing desks, but then they can only stand. And that creates its own problems.
Right.
So yeah, it's great when they have the adjustable ones that can go up and down. And I see people too who have some of those little bicycle pedals at their desks.
Really?
Have you seen this? Yeah.
No.
They're separate units. They have just like a box and then pedals on it.
Really?
And so they'll sit at their desk and pedal all day, so that they're.
That's
And it's great. You can still see, if you're pedaling all day, you can make too much of a C shape and start to slide down, so you can have back issues still.
Yeah.
But
you'd have to actually be like probably in the right chair.
Yeah,
to
exactly.
still have your posture, but you can still like pedal at the same time.
right, and maybe
That's
with a
cool.
towel roll or something. But yeah, there are a lot of different
I
options.
mean, I can't imagine where things will be in 10 years.
I know.
Because I mean, it's changed dramatically.
Yeah.
Dramatically in the last 10 years now.
Absolutely.
That I can't imagine.
Well, just watching TV shows that were from 10 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. And smartphones and all that. It's
Smart TVs.
smart TVs.
You got
exactly.
Google that can be in your living room.
Alexa.
Yeah, Alexa.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. What's her name again?
Somebody said, some people get freaked out about that. Like, Alexa, like, oh, the whole world's, listening to us or whatever. You know what I mean? Because you're opening your world up to like the internet, right? It's Google, whatever. And it's like, for me, I'm like, I have nothing to hide. I don't really care.
Yeah.
But
well,
if you want something to hide, you don't want to probably go that route.
Well, the other thing though too is that even with smartphones and any computer that has a camera, those can be remotely turned on by hackers. So this is no different than
Exactly.
that,
Yeah. I know, and a lot of people are smart and think about that stuff, and can do those things. But it's like I don't think about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it's
I'm street smart. I'm always looking around me. I always know what's going on. But when it comes to
Right.
technology, I'm like, come on.
well, and it's becoming more and more complicated. Like the things that you have to think about is the secure or not. Like, what was it? With cameras, baby cameras,
Yeah.
they can be connected to your Wi-Fi. And if you connect it to your Wi-Fi, anyone who
so
can
you can
hacks
connect it
in
to your
can,
phone if you wanted
right.
to.
But
Yeah.
also other people can access that too.
Right.
So why they would want to watch your baby,
Yeah,
but
right.
Still,
I know.
it's possible. So
Yeah.
yeah,
There's so many things to think about, and that's it's kind of like a good and bad, right? I mean, you
Right.
have the recent thing on the news recently with this gentleman that apparently committed a murder.
Yeah.
And posted on Facebook.
Right.
Dumb. But like people don't understand the texting, the Snapchat, the Facebook, the Twitter, all the access that we have to the internet is really, it can be beneficial and it can hurt you at the same time.
Right.
You know?
And one of the big things with working with children, the pediatric portion of our clinic, the American Pediatric Association says that they shouldn't have any exposure to screen time until they're 2 years old. And first of all, parents shouldn't feel guilty. You know, if they have to rely on a TV show or something once in a while, then, you know, you do what you have to do to keep your sanity and survive. But yeah, they've even had studies where they can link like hours of TV watched by an infant to a vocabulary going down a certain number of words by certain milestones and things like that. So it's interesting.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I think, well, even when you know, that's what you do. You put on, you know, back in the day, it was like, I don't know, Sesame Street, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's going to get to a certain age where they're actually going to be, they're going to pay attention and kind of understand it.
Right.
But yeah, there are pictures, constant pictures, and you know, my kids are always taking pictures with a cell phone and forget the camera.
Oh yeah.
You know, and it's constantly that screen going on.
Exactly.
I know.
So it's wonderful. We couldn't live without our cell phones, right?
I know.
And especially as a business owner, you know, like I'm not a big Facebook person.
Yeah.
But for a business, you've got to have social media. And,
I mean, for what you do, for what I do, I mean, it's networking, marketing, because it's people aren't, like the newspaper is going to be gone. Yeah. Like, I am not going to pick up a newspaper, and the next generation is definitely not going to pick up a newspaper. Yeah. They're picking up Facebook, Twitter, you know, all of the social media stuff is constant. And I'm like, I don't know. You know, it's almost like I said this before Snapchat came out. Well, what's going to come out after Facebook? Like, what can go beyond that, right?
Right, yeah.
And it used to be, what was before Facebook? It was...
I'm trying to think of it. I know what you're talking about.
MySpace.
There we go, MySpace.
I'm like, does that still exist? I don't know.
I don't know if it does or not.
Yeah. I think I just finally signed up for MySpace, and then Facebook came out.
Yeah, I don't think I ever had a MySpace account.
Yeah, and it's like crazy because, you know, everybody's like signing up, and you lie, like youngins would lie, and because you're supposed to be a certain age, right?
To use it.
And I'm like, you know, so I just keep thinking, what can go beyond what's out there right now? And then here Snapchat came. Yeah.
And well, have you seen on Netflix, there's a show called Black Mirror, where it's sort of like the Twilight Zone, right? And they had an episode on there where people are walking around and rating each other all the time, like rating all of their interactions.
Oh, really?
And it was creepy because it was too close to home. It was, you know, you feel like that's almost what happens already.
Yeah, there are some crazy TV options out there where it's like, wow, you know, and I really think some of the crazy stuff, even like some of the zombie show, like I love, I can't even think.
Walking Dead? Yes, there we go.
I love The Walking Dead, but I do not think that we will ever encounter anything like that. But there are people out there that really believe, you know, and I'm like, you know, it's like, okay, we watch Frankenstein, you know, we watch, you know, vampire shows and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I guess people still believe in that too. So it's kind of like, I don't know.
Exactly.
I mean,
it's like
who knows? But it's crazy.
Yeah.
Stuff where TV has gone and how real they make it.
Yeah. Well, and the different options that you have now, because it's not all about the network television, you know, like it used to be. It's about, you know, do you have Netflix? Do you have
You
Amazon
said, Netflix.
Prime? Do you have...
I've never got into Netflix. I have it at my house, but I've just never really get into it. And I'm not a big TV person, thank God. Yeah. You know, I mean, I sit down, I kind of like mixes. Do I like The Walking Dead? Yes. Do I watch Dancing with the Stars? Well, nothing else is on. I'll watch Dancing with the Stars type of thing. But I don't really tune into too much TV. Yeah. I work a lot, and then there's just always things to get done. But and I just can't sit there. It's like, you know, on a weekend, right? 5 o'clock, and my husband and I both work weekends, and you know, sitting down at 5 o'clock, and you know, and I'll sit down. I'm like, I feel like there's something wrong.
I have to keep busy.
Yeah,
I have to keep busy.
I can't. No, it's 5 o'clock Saturday. I can't sit down. I mean, if it was 9 o'clock on a Saturday, then it would be like, this makes sense.
But
not at 5 o'clock.
No, I have to. If I'm folding laundry and the baby's asleep, and you know, I have some of my guilty pleasures like The Real Housewives all the
Yeah.
Real Housewives. But,
I know, I never get into that either. Like people say, oh, do you watch that? I'm like, no.
I'm so ashamed of the fact that I do, but it's such a guilty pleasure.
Because every time I flick the channels, I never see it on.
Yeah, so I watch it online as part of it too.
Yeah.
We don't even have, we have like a television that we can stream to.
Oh, okay.
But we don't even have like a regular cable hookup or anything.
Yeah.
That's how much it's changed, right?
Right, because you don't need to.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, a lot of people I know canceled their cable and all that. They're paying like $10 a month for Netflix.
Yeah.
You know, so it makes
Exactly.
sense. You know,
Right.
if you're not missing the cable TV and stuff like that, then
Well, and I found that in and of itself made me watch less TV because it's not a matter of like, oh, nothing's on, let's try to find something. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, I have these shows on Netflix I like, I have these shows on, you know,
Yeah.
and if I'm out of shows, I don't watch more.
Right.
So,
and I have a hard time watching TV because there's so many commercials.
yeah.
I'm like, there was just a commercial. Like, there's already another one. It's like it's crazy.
Well, that's what you were talking about with social media too, the way that marketing has changed. You know, because now you want to reach your followers on Twitter or Facebook or whatever. And it's, I mean, of course, larger corporations still buy, you know, commercial time slots and everything.
And you know, we're little guys, right?
Yeah.
We're little guys. So, you know, you have these big corporate companies, they have a team just for social media. Like, this
Right.
is your job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I
exactly.
can't imagine, because it is a job.
Yeah.
It's time consuming.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, it's like, oh, you got to post something. Oh, we have like specials, or we have an event at, you know, Oak
Physical Therapy.
Oak
yeah.
Physical
and-
Therapy
yeah.
on Main Street in Nashua.
Right.
We're having this event or whatever. Well, you got to put it out there, social media, and the same thing that I do.
Exactly.
And now they're like, oh, Facebook got smart. Well, we're not going to show it to everybody. Well, you're going to have to boost your post now.
Right. And so then you
We're
have
going to start making money because you don't have enough money now.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
So
Exactly.
it's definitely the way of the world, and it's really it's somebody's part-time job. Like
Oh.
I definitely don't do enough of it. I try, but again, it's time consuming.
And you can never spend enough time doing it. You could
Mm-hmm.
spend all day doing it, and then every time somebody responds to something you write, you want to respond back in a timely
Mm-hmm.
fashion. Like it's a time sink.
Right, and I have said this in the past, but if everybody would like literally pay attention to how much the time that they actually focus on streaming
Yeah.
and what other things that you could be getting done in your day, you would be shocked.
Well, and there was an interesting article too about Facebook, and that I didn't have a chance to read the whole thing probably because I was clicking through other things, but it was talking about Facebook users being more depressed and part of the reason they were saying was because people only post the positive things that are happening in their lives, and so if you have your own struggles. And then you go on Facebook, well, everybody else's life is perfect. What's wrong with you?
Oh, I know.
And
We'll have to pick this up next time because that's a
Yeah.
whole another conversation.
Absolutely.
Totally. A lot of negativity out there. So thanks for tuning into our show. We'll see you next time.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.